warming hearing of the year. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of this whole global warming thing. I almost can't put the damn thing into words. In case you haven't seen this program before, let me tell you exactly where I stand on global warming. Yes, something is happening with the weather. The globe is getting warmer in some areas, colder in others. It's been crazy. Something clearly is going on. I'm just not convinced that it's man's fault. Might be. Not so sure. Some studies suggest that cows are responsible for more globally harmful emissions than man. Is that so? I don't know. What do you say we have a steak and talk about it? What I am sure about is it makes no sense for America to sacrifice in the name of global warming when a nation like China will pump more carbon emissions into the air in the next 15 years than 3 billion Ford expeditions being driven for a total of 45 trillion miles. I am not kidding, and that's just from coal alone. California Senator Barbara Boxer is in charge of these hearings. I wish her luck. You know, not only are they questions about the science, but think about this. Congress used to be controlled by moderate Republicans. Now it's controlled by moderate Democrats. A wash or a nightmare? Senator James Inhofe is a Republican from Oklahoma. Senator, how was your first day with these Senate hearings?
Hey, Glenn, we talked about this once before.
Yeah.
I chaired that committee for 4 years, and now Barbara Boxer is chairing it. You know, they're just in a euphoric attitude that somehow, because they're chairing things, people are going to believe this hype out there that's coming from the liberals. And by the way, you mentioned this thing about livestock emitting more of the greenhouse gases than man-made gases, and that came from the United Nations. The same ones who had the fourth assessment coming up on Friday of this week. So here they come up, and they also said that and this is, again, the people who are responsible for this whole thing were the United Nations. And they're now saying in this report that they've downgraded the contribution that is made by man to the greenhouse gases by 25%.
You know, this is what kills me is you can't question this at all. I mean, I was called, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. called me last week or 2 weeks ago a fascist for questioning global warming.
I'm glad I'm not the only guy. They've been calling me everything.
I mean, guys, it's incredible. Senator, help me out. I must have mislearned the definition of the word fascist.
Yeah, but
I'm questioning, and you're not even allowed to question these things.
Well, no, you're not allowed to question it, and I'll tell you what, the reason is, and you may not have really got onto this, the scientists in the last 4 years have been coming over in droves saying that there is no scientific evidence. Let me give you one example, because your listeners, a lot of them have heard a guy named Claude Allegra. He's a French geophysicist, a member of both the French and the American Academy of Sciences. He was one of them marching in the streets talking about global warming. It's all man's fault. But he has studied it now, reversed his position, and listened to his one-sentence statement. He said, the cause of warming is unknown. The proponents of man-made catastrophic global warming are being motivated by money. And if you look at what happened last week with Heidi Cullen, sure, she's motivated by money. What happens to her ratings if all of a sudden people realize that there's a lot of doubt as to the science behind this?
I will tell you, Senator, that John Kerry was out, overseas this last weekend, and he was saying, we've done more damage because we wouldn't sign the Kyoto Treaty. It wasn't, the Clinton administration didn't put that one through. He was part of the Senate at the time when nobody, wanted to be involved with the Kyoto Treaty because we're not on par with other countries. China wouldn't have had to change their behavior.
See, China in the year 2009 will pass us up as the #1 emitter of CO2, and they're laughing at us. We're the laughing stock of those countries that are developing nations. They say we have no intention of doing it. Let me give you one statistic. And you're talking about Barbara Boxer out in California. I don't believe there is one coal-fired generating plant for electricity in California. The Chinese are cranking out one every 3 days. Now, if you want to find ourselves in a position where we no longer have any energy over here, that's the motivation behind a lot of these people.
Senator, is it true that man is responsible for only 2% of the CO2s that are floating around us?
That's consistent even with Al Gore's his own scientist. His name is Tom Wigley. He said that in the event that we all complied with Kyoto, all the developed nations, for the next 50 years, it'd only bring the temperature temperature down 6/100ths of 1 degree Celsius. That's not even measurable. So the answer is yes.
Senator, we're going to do a special on global warming soon. How dead are we when we put that on the air? Will I have a job the next day?
Well, I mean, you stop and look what's happening on the Weather Channel. I don't know.
I know. Senator, best of luck. Thank you very much. Now, those U.S. fighter jet parts that were making their way into the hands of President Tom, we talked